Do you want to know what other people are thinking? How to Read People Like a Book will teach you everything you need to know about analyzing and decoding body language, intentions, thoughts, emotions, behavior, and more. Hello, this is Sebastian Clark, and you are listening to How to Read People Like a Book, the subtle art of how to analyze people and speed reading to decode body language, intentions, thoughts, emotions, behaviors, and connect effortlessly. Provided to you by United Audiobooks. I hope you enjoy my audiobook. Now, let us begin. Introduction. Do you wish to be able to communicate with others more effectively? Do you suspect someone might not be who they seem to be? Skills and the capacity to read people can be highly useful, particularly if you want to or need to comprehend or acquire the true essence of what someone you are engaging with in your personal or professional life may be all about. Reading people is a skill taught to people in many professions. The roles that most obviously require these abilities are those in psychology or allied health and social services. However, numerous different professions require a variety of people reading skills. Salespeople to criminal investigators fall under this category. Paying attention and taking notes are necessary to read people. You must be able to decipher other people's verbal and nonverbal signs. We all emit a lot of information through how we move and speak in our gestures and mannerisms. Not often do we mean or feel what we say. Think again if you believe that reading people is solely about having the ability to read minds and detect auras. Knowing other people's thoughts and mind reading is not as important. Being acutely alert is more important. It involves being aware of the appropriate body language at the appropriate time. Using logic alone won't give you a complete picture of somebody. To learn to read the crucial nonverbal intuition signs that individuals give out, you must submit to other essential sources of information. To accomplish this, you must also be prepared to let go of any preconceived notions or emotional baggage, such as long-held grudges or ego conflicts that prevent you from seeing another person. The idea is to maintain objectivity and to take in information without bias. You must let go of preconceptions to effectively read people, whether it be your lover, coworker, or supervisor. Some barriers need to fall. No matter how sharp your brain is, you still need to be willing to let go of outdated notions. Those who read others well have been trained to read the invisible. They've learned to use what I refer to as their super senses to go beyond the areas where you typically focus your attention to get intuitive ideas that can change your life. I encourage you to examine the various approaches to reading people in this audiobook. All of them demand giving up pure logic in favor of accepting additional, nonlinear forms of input. Now try not to panic. The focus of this audiobook is not mind reading like Edward Cullen did in Twilight. Only vampires are capable of doing it, if they exist. It involves understanding what other people want to convey without using words. Even when they say otherwise, you must be able to tell what they mean. Your social, personal, and professional lives will greatly impact your capacity for accurate people reading. Understanding another person's feelings allows you to modify your communication approach and message to ensure that it's received as effectively as possible. It's not that difficult, even though it sounds cliché. Reading people doesn't require unique abilities. The following 8 chapters will help you read people like a pro. Chapter 1. Establishing a baseline. Understanding body language is a useful talent to have. Learn how to read someone's baseline body language before you start looking for specific actions that indicate lying. Simply said, a person's baseline behavior is how they typically behave when there's no compelling reason to do otherwise. We frequently read someone's body language to determine whether they're lying or attracted to us, yet not everyone acts the same in those situations. You can learn how someone typically acts by keeping an eye out for their baseline, after which you can keep an eye out for when that behavior changes. This phase is so essential to understanding body language that you should practice it before attempting to interpret the meaning of a specific action. Take a moment to watch how someone positions their feet, where their hands are placed, and how much they grin the next time you're conversing with them. It's not necessary to take notes, that would be creepy. Get good at being observant. It will be easier to identify changes in body language as you gain experience. 3 easy steps for baselining someone's behavior. How does one appear while they're lying? If only there were a quick, universal solution to this difficulty. The fact is that every liar is unique. Fortunately, a variety of facial expressions, body language, and vocal tics have been connected to dishonesty by researchers and investigators. There are clear patterns. The key to employing these verbal and nonverbal cues as lie detectors is to contrast them with someone's baseline conduct, which is their usual behavior. This word might be unfamiliar to you, but not the idea. Consciously, we do it all the time. Establish a baseline so you'll have something to compete against when it comes time to assess someone's sincerity. 1. With the very first handshake, start your baseline. We never have a second chance to make a first impression, and we never have another chance to see one made. The greatest time to establish a baseline for someone's conduct is right after when we first meet them. A smart interviewer or salesperson will evaluate potential candidates or clients before the first handshake. From the first handshake, Sally in HR or Steve in sales has started assessing if a hire or a contract would go through by monitoring posture, gaze, and vocal quality. We all have the responsibility and ability to do this in professional and social settings by constantly paying attention to how others act and gesturing. Carefully studying the individuals with whom we are speaking is not intrusive. The change here is to make it a more deliberate effort, so we don't forget it all at once when we leave the room. We already get this information unconsciously. Baselining is simply the process of gathering information that will help understand how a person often responds to jokes, personal inquiries, and small conversations. Every meet and greet with clients, coworkers, neighbors, and friends should include it. 2. Ask several questions to get various responses. Baselining is most helpful when we can compile a person's response to various circumstances. However, not every circumstance will disclose the entire spectrum of behaviors for us to benchmark. For instance, if we meet someone during a funeral, we probably won't be able to tell how they respond to jokes. However, there are numerous times when we can direct a conversation to elicit the kinds of responses we wish to record. A sincere compliment, a startling statement, or a respectful challenge to someone's viewpoint can all produce an effect that we can watch and record. After the compliment, did Emma blush and turn her head to the left? When challenged, did Damon clench his fist and twitch visibly? Our future efforts at lie spotting will be influenced by the responses we see under non-threatening conditions. The normal vocal tone and tempo, standing and seated posture, anxious tics, laugh pattern, usage of hand gestures, and the way they exhibit surprise and delight are all things to watch for when baselining. 3. Add normative behavior to your mental Rolodex. However, keeping track of someone's basic information is essential for any future lie spotting you may be required to perform. Therefore, you should record the baseline data you see at each encounter. What can you do besides compiling a behavior dossier on every one of your coworkers, neighbors, and friends? The solution is easy. When you first meet someone, mentally note their baseline behavior along with their name and other important details such as their work title, birthplace, spouse, number of children, etc. Even if you struggle with names, and most of us do without much practice, making a conscious effort to collect and preserve the extra baseline information will help you recall people by providing you with more vivid details. So, how do you tell if someone is lying to you? Establishing a benchmark for how someone behaves when being truthful is essential to spotting lies. An illustration would be observing how the person replies to simple queries like, "What's your name and where are you from?" Pay attention to their eyes and follow their movements. Look at their body language and pay attention to how they speak. Look for behavioral changes when you have a baseline and wish to identify a lie. Finding the sneaks can be challenging. The so-called lying detectors, known as polygraph examinations, mostly focus on spotting automatic reflexes and are regarded as inaccurate. To catch the dishonest, psychologists have been compiling signs of dishonesty, such as facial expressions, body language, and linguistics. It's crucial to realize that these warning signs aren't always accurate. For example, if someone is anxious, their voice may occasionally crack, but that does not necessarily indicate that they are lying. A person will undoubtedly fidget if they're uncomfortable in their chair. Just remember this. Body signals. Delayed gestures. Liars frequently make hand gestures after speaking rather than before or during a conversation. The mind is engaged in many activities, including making up stories, assessing whether they're believed, and then embellishing them as necessary. Therefore, typical gesturing may occur right before a remark takes place after the speech. Itching and fidgeting. Cocking the head to one side or shuffling the feet can also be a lying symptom. Variations in the autonomic nervous system, which controls body functions, may potentially impact. When people are anxious, these changes in the nervous system can make them experience tingling or itching in their bodies, which can lead to more fidgeting. Facial signals. The eyes. A person lying may stare or look away at a critical moment, which could indicate that they are shifting their gaze as they try to formulate their next move. The mouth. If someone rolls their lips back until they nearly vanish, that may be a clue that they are lying by omission. In my experience, when people do it, they suppress facts or emotions. Complexion change. Have you ever seen someone's skin turn white as a ghost when they speak? That can indicate dishonesty, because it shows blood gushing from the face. Sweating or dryness. Changes in the autonomic nervous system can cause liars to sweat in the T area of their faces, the upper lip, forehead, chin, and area around their mouths, or to experience dryness in those areas. They may also blink, squint excessively, lick or bite their lips, or swallow forcefully. Voice tones. A high-pitched voice. Anxious people may experience vocal cord muscle tightening, an instinctual reaction to stress, which makes their voice extremely high-pitched. Someone's voice may also have a squeak to it. Sometimes the act of clearing one's throat to ease the pain of tense muscles can also be an indication of dishonesty. An abrupt fluctuation in volume. Those who lie also do so. Sometimes you'll speak louder out of defensiveness. Speech content. Using words like honestly or truth. When someone uses words like honestly, I want to be honest with you, or let me tell you the truth, they may be trying a bit too hard to convince you they're being sincere. Using words like like, and The University of Michigan study discovered that speaking with more vocal fill is a prevalent sign of lying. People utilize these words more frequently when trying to gain time to consider their next words. Mistakes. The majority of us do not lie naturally. So occasionally, we allow the truth to come out. Keep an eye out for phrases like, I got fired. No, wait, I mean I quit. Or, I was out to dinner with so-and-so. No, wait, I was working late. You might be dealing with a liar. I hope you're enjoying my audiobook so far. It would be a pleasure if you could let me know how you're feeling about this audiobook in the comments section below. We would greatly appreciate it if you could also like this video and subscribe to United Audiobooks to have access to more best-selling audiobooks in the future. Also, if you're interested in getting more free audiobooks, please click the first link in the description below. Now, let us carry on with the next chapter. Chapter 2. Reading Body Language. The nonverbal signs we employ, such as our facial expressions and body language, can reveal much about us. Body language may provide a plethora of information about what other individuals are thinking if you know what to look for. Who hasn't wished they could read people's minds? Unbeknownst to you, other body language cues have already been detected. Only 7% of communication, according to UCLA research, is reliant on our words. As for the rest, 38% is determined by voice tonality, while the remaining 55% is determined by body language. Recognizing and understanding that 55% will offer you an advantage while interacting with others. What is body language? At its most fundamental level, body language indicates an individual's internal emotional state. Our body's telltale signs of our thoughts and emotions are known as body language. Body language refers to the nonverbal cues we use to communicate. These nonverbal signs are quite important in everyday conversation. Body language may make up 60 to 65% of all communication. Why is body language significant then? Understanding oneself and others through body language is beneficial. It informs us of potential human emotions in a particular circumstance. Additionally, body language can be used to convey feelings or intentions. While understanding body language is important, it's equally important to pay attention to other signals like context. You should frequently always take the signals as a whole into account rather than concentrating on a specific action. To help you understand nonverbal behaviors, this chapter analyzes the functions that body language plays in communication, provides examples of body language, and explains the meaning of each. Types of body language. Researchers have captured nearly 1 million nonverbal cues and signals. These cues and signals include, among others, facial expressions, such as raised brow indicating surprise, frown showing sadness, and scowl indicating anger. Nonverbal signals, such as smiling, winking, and nodding. Hand gestures, such as thumbs up, a wave, and pointing. Posture, such as hunching, tilting head, and sitting up straight. Eye contact. Roles of body language in communication. In social interactions, body language has many different functions. It can make the following things easier. Gaining someone's trust. Making eye contact, nodding your head while listening, and even unintentionally copying another person's body language indicates that you and that person are becoming close. Underscoring a point. There are several methods to influence how your message is received, including the tone of your voice, the way you engage listeners with your arm and hand gestures, or how you occupy space. Telling the truth. When a person's actions don't match their words, we may infer that they're hiding information or aren't being completely honest about their feelings. Awareness of your needs. Our body language can communicate much about our emotional state. For instance, do you have a reclined position or are your lips pursed or jaw clenched? This could indicate that something about the surroundings you're in right now is setting you off. Your body may let you know you're stressed, unsafe, or experiencing other feelings. But remember that you might not always be right in your interpretation of another person's body language. 8 techniques for interpreting body language. Watch for these indicators the next time you're in a meeting, or even out on a date or playing with your kids. 1. Crossed arms and legs indicate opposition to your suggestions. Physical obstacles, like crossed arms and legs, suggest the listener is not receptive to your message. Even when they're grinning and conversing in a friendly manner, their body language conveys a lot. Crossed legs or arms psychologically indicate that a person is physically, mentally, and emotionally cut off from what is in front of them. It's so revealing because it's not deliberate. Eyes crinkle with genuine smiles. The mouth can deceive, but the eyes can't when it comes to smiling. Sincere grins reach the eyes, causing the skin around them to wrinkle and form crow's feet. The next time you want to determine whether someone is genuinely smiling, look for crinkles in the corners of their eyes. People frequently smile to conceal what they're thinking and feeling. If they aren't there, something is hidden by that smile. 3. Mimicking your body language. Have you ever observed someone doing the same thing whenever you cross or uncross your legs during a meeting? Or do they lean their heads in the same direction when they hear you speak? That is encouraging. When we experience a connection with another individual, we automatically mirror their body language. It indicates that the exchange is going well and that the other person is paying attention to what you're saying. Knowing what the other party genuinely thinks about the transaction can be very helpful while negotiating. 4. Posture conveys meaning. Have you ever seen someone enter a room and recognize they were in command before speaking? Body language plays a significant role in creating that effect and often involves an upright posture, movements made with the palms down, and broad gestures in general. The brain is programmed to connect power with how much space people occupy. A powerful position is to stand up straight with your shoulders back since it seems to enhance the amount of space you occupy. Conversely, slouching causes your form to collapse. It gives the impression of taking up less room and projecting less force. Whether or not you're a leader, maintaining a decent posture commands respect and encourages engagement. 5. Lies telling eyes. Most of us have probably heard the phrase, "Look me in the eye when you talk to me," growing up. In some ways, our parents were correct when they said it's difficult to hold someone's gaze while you're lying to them. But because everyone's aware of that, many people purposefully maintain eye contact to conceal their deception. The issue is that the majority of them overcompensate by keeping uncomfortable eye contact. Americans often maintain eye contact for 7 to 10 seconds, which is longer when listening than when speaking. Someone may lie to you if their gaze causes you to cringe while speaking, especially if they are steady and unblinking. 6. Raised brows indicate discomfort. Your eyebrows are most likely to rise when you're surprised, worried, or afraid. Try lifting your eyebrows when you're casually conversing with a pal. Isn't that challenging? If a conversation partner raises eyebrows when discussing something that shouldn't logically surprise, concern, or frighten them, something else is happening. 7. Excessive nodding reveals concern about acceptance. When you're explaining something to someone and they nod, it's a sign that they're worried about your opinion or that you don't trust them to do as you've asked. 8. A clenched jaw indicates anxiety. Stress symptoms include a clenched jaw, a stiff neck, and wrinkled brows. No matter what that person is saying, these are uncomfortable indications. The subject of their anxiety may come up in conversation, or perhaps their attention is elsewhere and they are concentrating on the source of their fear. It's essential to keep an eye out for discrepancies between what someone says and what their tense body language is trying to convey to you. The main line is that even if you cannot understand someone's exact thoughts, you can still deduce much about them based on their body language. This is particularly true when a person's words and behaviors don't match. Chapter 3. Listening to your intuition. The capacity to use intuition, or your natural sixth sense, if you prefer, to read people is one skill that will serve you well throughout your life. Reading people is a valuable and fascinating skill that can be used in various situations, from determining whether someone is genuinely kind or trying to deceive you to dealing with a family member or evaluating your new boss. Reading someone and judging them are very different things. Reading them is objective observation, whereas making a decision based on scant or no factual evidence is judgment. Humans often engage in both of those behaviors. Still, you'll discover that mastering the art of reading people will bring you far greater rewards than forming rash conclusions without sufficient information. What is intuition? Your inner voice and wisdom are what you refer to as intuition, which is unaffected by external factors. When someone is said to be in tune with their intuition, it could mean that they're adept at avoiding distractions and have a clear knowledge of what they want out of life. As former Apple co-founder Steve Jobs stated in his autobiography, "Intuition is an exciting thing, more powerful than intellect. In my opinion, intuition may also be a vital ability in business that has significantly affected my work." Contrary to popular belief, developing intuition requires experience in the application of a few fundamental rules. Your gut will tell you more than anything else when you meet someone new or start talking to them. With a little practice, you'll be able to carry on a conversation and pay attention to your instincts. How do you feel? At ease or uneasy? Does this person evoke any strong feelings in you? Do you experience any physical reactions, such as goosebumps? Do you have a sense of recognition? Can you pick up on their emotional state? Do you ever interact with them and have flashes of insight or knowledge that cannot be verbally expressed? Auras, energy, and vibration. The crucial element of a person's energy coexists with the intuitive indicators mentioned above. Again, this skill cannot be picked up overnight, though some people naturally possess it. This is the capacity to recognize the energy a person is surrounded by. Each of us has an energy field that can be either positive, attracting people to us, or negative, virtually acting as a psychic warning to others to stay their distance. See whether you can sense someone's energy field when reading them. While you try to temporarily empty your thoughts and experience their energy with your own, let them talk or sit quietly next to each other. Does it have a friendly or unwelcoming vibe? You may even see the other person looking at you with interest because they have a gut feeling that something's wrong. Although it's mingled with their energy, their vibrational level can also be physically distinguished by paying attention to their words and how they express themselves. Low vibration people won't be animated. They won't be very enthusiastic. An individual with a high vibration will be absorbed, energetic, and intrigued. They will have bright eyes and be eager to converse and listen. Ignoring your conditioning. In the West, we are taught the value of manners and the importance of respecting others' privacy. We have been socialized to accept people as they are. Even when our instincts are screaming at us, we often ignore them. So be aware when you act out of conditioning rather than intuition. Your conscious mind can get critical information from your intuition in an instant. You'll become an expert at figuring out someone's genuine nature and motivations after you learn how to listen to it properly. How can you use this knowledge? You probably won't be able to do anything when you develop your intuitive ability to read people. It's best to watch and absorb. Write down your initial impressions in a journal and make notes about them. Later, when you're more familiar with the individual, go back and see if your initial impressions were correct. You can take advantage of the subtle indicators as you gain experience and more awareness of them. You may put others at ease by mimicking their body language and consciously lowering your emotional state. Speak lowly and in a lower voice. Keeping your breathing and motion steady is one of the simplest methods to calm someone down. Knowing and understanding the indications may also help you to keep safe. Your intuition is the first to detect anger when it arises. You should feel uncomfortable enough to want to get away from the individual as soon as you can. You may tell when someone is attempting to control your thoughts by looking at them or how they act. Despite their words' sweetness, they often exude unpleasant energy. You will have a deeper grasp of each new person you encounter if you pay attention to these indicators. It's a never-ending process of learning. You'll occasionally get things right and do less well other times. Pay attention to your gut instinct. You know it knows. Improving your intuition. Everyone on the earth possesses intuition, but not everyone chooses to use it. The subconscious mind connects with the conscious mind through intuition. The facts supporting that feeling are true. It's similar to making any other decision, but the process of gathering, storing, and putting something together doesn't involve our conscious thought. Therefore, intuition is an excellent tool. You will fare better if it is sharper. Here's how to feed yours so that it grows and is prepared to offer guidance. Shh. Listen. It appears to be straightforward, and it is. No gimmicks here. If you're not listening, your intuition can't communicate with you. Things will go well once you begin to pay attention. Try it out and see. Belief in your instincts. There must be good cause when the words gut and feeling are used together, and it exists. Emotion and intuition may physically exist in our guts, according to research. The gut is often known as the second brain and is lined with a network of neurons. The enteric nervous system, or ENS, more significant than the spinal cord and peripheral nervous system, but smaller than the brain, has around 100 million neurons. This is why facing difficult choices or realizing we made a mistake makes us feel sick. Feel. If you allow yourself to feel, you'll be able to sense your intuition, which will let you know if it's there. You'll feel it in your belly, giving you goosebumps, a shiver down your spine, speeding your heartbeat and making you breathe more quickly. There are occasions when it's even more subtly expressed and can only be called knowing. When something is right, you'll know because it will seem obvious, fulfilling, and enriching. You'll know when anything is off because it will feel off to you. For me, it will appear flat. If you're not used to it, it could be challenging to trust your intuition initially, but give it some time and do it gradually if that seems better. It will be rewarding. Prepare to let go of negative emotions. Since negative emotions obstruct intuition, making poor decisions when angry or depressed can be very easy. This has been supported by research, which showed that when people were in a good mood, they made better intuitive decisions than when they were in a bad mood. Choose carefully who you keep around. The noise will increase, and it will be harder to hear what your intuition wants you to hear if you're with people who exhaust you. Most likely, you already know how they operate. If not, pause for a moment and listen to what your gut is telling you. Stay away from those that deplete you and keep those who empower you. Understandably, you can't always leave the problematic people behind. In that case, empower yourself by choosing to stay rather than having your decision stolen away by them. The language change is slight, yet it has significant influence. One lets you keep the power, while the other transfers it to them. Pay attention to your surroundings. The more data the intuitive subconscious part of your brain has to deal with, and the more accurate it will inform your decisions, the more data you can gather from the environment. Establish relationships. More than speech, there are so many other factors that influence our beliefs and choices. Tone, speech volume, body language, and gestures all play a part in the interpretation we give to our encounters with other people. We occasionally sense something about somebody but cannot put our finger on it. People may come across as aloof, preoccupied, or indifferent, and often these traits are caught up through many means without being expressed. Empathic accuracy is the capacity to discern the thoughts, feelings, and intentions of another. We may fine-tune our empathetic accuracy the more time we spend with people. Picking up on other people's cues will help you be more intuitive. Schedule some quiet, still time. Being alone quiets the outside world's noise and helps you connect with your intuition. We constantly receive warnings and cues from our intuition, yet we are often too busy to pay attention. Allow your thoughts to roam and be receptive to any feelings, ideas, or phrases that may occur. The practice of mindfulness is one approach to this. Mindfulness helps you connect with your intuition by clearing your mind of mental clutter and focusing your thoughts on your recent experience. Make the most of your dream time. The brain uses dreams as a means of digesting daytime knowledge. They can work hard if we let them, since they are full of priceless information, including experiences, memories, and lessons. Paying attention to our dreams can provide us access to knowledge we might not otherwise have because we are awake. Think about any challenges or unresolved issues before you go to sleep. Consider other alternatives or solutions when you're about to sleep. Let your brain handle the rest while you close your eyes. Although intuition is strong and can produce fantastic insights, you shouldn't follow it blindly. It's still crucial to exercise common sense and a healthy dose of reason. To position yourself to make the most significant judgments, you must strike a balance between your brain's intuitive and intellectual sides. Chapter 4. Sense emotional energy. A beautiful manifestation of our energy, or the vibe we emit, is our emotions. These are picked up by intuition. Some people make you feel good and are excellent for your health. The draining nature of others makes you naturally desire to get away. Despite being invisible, this subtle energy can be sensed up to a few feet or inches from the body. This energy is revered as the source of life in native cultures. It's known as qi in Chinese medicine and is a vitality that is fundamental to health. Scientists have detected higher photon emissions and electromagnetic readings about healers who release subtle energy while performing their work, even though the molecular structure of this energy is not entirely understood. Emotional energy is contagious. It may mean the difference between a bad relationship and a good one. Understanding this element of anyone with whom you intend to have frequent contact is critical. Then, based on your energetic compatibility, you can evaluate if a relationship is possible. I've learned from experience that developing a friendship is useless without this fundamental chemistry. A fit doesn't need to be forced when the energy is appropriate. Simply put, forcing anything is the mind's attempt to obstruct flow. Of course, we all have peculiarities, anxieties, and fears, but energy strengthens relationships and inspires perseverance when things go tough. Healthy relationships, however, have a forward motion and a surrender that feels more natural when you and the other person are on the same page. Be aware that what people say or behave often doesn't match their feelings when interpreting body language. The idea that what you see is always what you get must be abandoned. Think about these instances. Your partner apologizes for losing it, but her hatred persists. A new guy tries to charm you, but you don't feel real emotion. Although a buddy appears upbeat, you can tell they are struggling. Recognize that not everyone who smiles is necessarily happy. Alternatively, just because someone is reserved doesn't imply they aren't ecstatic. How to read emotional energy. Feel people's presence. This is the overall energy we give out, which may or may not match our words or actions. The emotional environment surrounds us, similar to a cloud or the sun. For instance, they could exude an eerie, happy, or melancholy atmosphere. Presence is also linked to charisma, characterized by a magnetic personality. Be careful, since charisma doesn't always come with heart. Without a heart, charisma cannot be trusted. It's a risky combo that many scam artists and seducers use. Do they seem to have warm energy in general as you read? Calming, uplifting, energizing like a breath of fresh air? Or does it drain you? Cold, detached, angry, jarring, depressed? Do they exude a welcoming aura that draws you in? Or perhaps you're feeling queasy and pulling back? Check to determine if somebody appears tethered to the ground by looking like their feet are firmly planted. Or do they seem to be floating outside themselves, which could signify distractibility and flakiness? Observe people's eyes. With our eyes, we can create love or hatred. The look, as Sufi poet Rumi refers to it, is the strong energy our eyes transmit. Studies show that the eyes also emit an electromagnetic signal that extends outside the body, just like the brain does. In reality, studies show people can sense when someone is staring at them, even if no one's around. Police officers, soldiers, and hunters have all reported having this feeling. The spirit of the eyes is revered in indigenous cultures. According to some, an evil eye is a gaze that causes harm or bad luck to its target. The look of love has also been verified by science. Joining gaze with a loved one or puppy causes oxytocin, the lovable love hormone, to be released due to a biological reaction. Your brain produces oxytocin, which makes you feel more serene and able to trust people. Spend some time observing people's eyes. Are they caring, tranquil, sexy, mean, angry? Depending on how people perceive you, you may feel loved or frightened. Find out if they appear to have a house companion in their eyes, which could suggest a desire for intimacy, or do they appear guarded or concealed? Some folks have hypnotic eyes. Don't stare intently into the eyes you don't trust or that you think might be dangerous. Less interaction with negative people will make them focus less on you. On the other hand, feel free to saunter into the eyes of those you love. Take advantage of that precious energy. Take note of a handshake. Through physical contact, we transfer emotional energy similarly to an electrical current. Do a handshake or hug feel welcoming, secure, or warm to you? Or is it repulsive and you wish to distance yourself? Are people's hands cold, indicating anxiety? Or is it limp, implying reticence and timidity? Is their grip excessively tight and even manages to crush your fingers, indicating excessive control or aggression? The intensity of touch conveys people's emotions in addition to physical indicators. Some handshakes and hugs bring warmth, joy, and peace, while others come off as intrusive, depleting, or even hostile. Spend time with those whose vibes you enjoy. Watch out for those you don't so you don't become drained. Avoid making love or having physical contact with anybody whose energy does not feel nice. Pay attention to people's vocal tones and chuckle. Our voice's volume and tonality reveals a lot about our emotions. Frequencies of sound cause vibrations. We can hear some frequencies. Sound can be perceived below the auditory range. Imagine the vibration of a bass. Consider how a person's tone of speech impacts you when reading them. The words carry the warmth and coldness of tone. Think about it. Is their voice comforting, or is it rude, sarcastic, or whiny? Are there hushed or scarcely audible speech patterns indicators of meekness or low self-esteem? Or do they speak too loudly, indicating narcissism, anxiousness, or insensitivity? Do they speak quickly and try to sell you something, or monotonously boring you to death while implying despair and lack of spontaneity? Be mindful of sighs that convey grief or annoyance. A pinched voice may also indicate emotional repression, excessive control, or a thyroid condition. Always pay attention to how people laugh, a sign of humor. Does their laughter seem sincere, fake, childlike, joyous, or do they always seem unhappy and never laugh? Feel the heart energy of others. The most crucial indicator of energy is whether or not the person exudes a sense of heart. This is the potential for empathy, generosity, and connection in each of us. When the heart is present, you'll sense the warmth of others' unconditional love, which gives you a sense of security and comfort. It's the implicit feeling of acceptance without judgment. Nobody could pass as this. Our heart's presence grows through our good intentions, deeds, and emotional labor to overcome fear and negativity. The most admirable attribute somebody may possess is their heart. Being drawn to it is a good thing. When strong emotions obscure your clarity, reading energy can change the game. It allows you to discern someone's intentions by picking up on hidden cues they give off, allowing you to see past dreams or wishes. Chapter 5. Understanding and Identifying Communication Styles. The quality of your relationships can be significantly improved by being aware of various communication styles. That's because your capacity for connection will determine how well you can handle challenging conversations. Our communications methods can create lasting bonds, essential for success in all spheres of life. We connect for the following reasons. To name a few, good interpersonal relationships have a good effect on physical and mental health, while bad relationships negatively impact well-being. Depressive and anxiety disorders are less common in people who feel connected to others. Those who have deep relationships live longer. The success of a career and job performance is directly correlated with effective communication and interpersonal skills. An environment conducive to a strong, happy family is created by effective communication. Conversation is necessary for connection. But as we have all likely learned, communication problems do arise. We suddenly say something that causes others to flee, hide under their beds, or get aggressive. Other conversations, however, leave us perplexed and puzzled, like our attempts to verbally express our feelings and thoughts were unsuccessful. When our interactions bring us closer together, that's when those wonderful moments take place. We experience mutual understanding, acceptance, and respect. Life is about having meaningful connections with others. When we do it well, it completely changes the game. Our propensity to communicate directly or indirectly defines communication styles. Even though everyone has a different way of communicating, 4 primary types are most common in the workplace. You'll be better able to communicate with any person you meet if you correctly identify each style. In this chapter, we go through 4 prevalent professional communication styles, how to spot them, and how to deal with coworkers that use them. Why are communication styles important? It's easy for conflict or miscommunication to arise when people communicate in various ways. It can be easier to engage with people with varied communication styles when we know their traits and tendencies. 4 basic communication styles. Your interpersonal reactions and how you speak, act, and respond to different situations all depend on your communication style. The 4 communication styles are as follows. 1. Passive. The majority of passive communicators are reserved and don't demand attention. During discussions, they could appear uninterested and hardly ever take a stand or speak up for themselves. It could be challenging to discern whether they are comfortable or require assistance with an important project because they don't often communicate their demands or express their emotions. These traits make someone a passive communicator. Poor posture, inability to say no, fidgeting, easygoing attitude, soft voice, lack of eye contact, apologetic demeanor. To foster a positive working connection with a passive communicator, take into account the following strategies. Adopt a direct strategy. Start one-on-one talks since a passive communicator often feels better at ease in private settings than in groups. Ask for their viewpoints. Give them plenty of time to consider your questions before responding. Speak generally. Asking yes or no questions that require a brief response is to be avoided. Keep your cool during prolonged silences since passive people often ponder their responses before speaking. It's crucial to practice communication if you're a passive communicator. Look for occasions where you feel comfortable speaking up. Find private meetings if you don't feel comfortable in group settings. Try communicating via email rather than in person if you communicate more effectively through writing. You'll eventually realize that being honest about your thoughts opens doors for productive conversations. 2. Aggressive. The views and sentiments of aggressive communicators are constantly expressed, and they often dominate talks at the expense of others. They might also behave without first thinking, which can harm relationships and reduce productivity at work. In some leadership contexts, an aggressive communication style may be respected, but it can be terrifying to individuals who respond better to a calmer style. A few indicators of an aggressive communicator include invading personal spaces, interrupting others when they're talking, displaying a domineering posture, preserving close eye contact, making combative gestures. When working with an aggressive communicator, take into account the following strategies. Remain composed and firm. Don't allow an aggressive communicator's nature to intimidate you. Concentrate your talk on a practical solution to the problem. Maintain a formal tone throughout interactions. Keep personal matters and feelings out of the conversation. Recognize when to leave. If the aggressive communicator starts to demand too much from you or you're no longer making progress, leave the situation. If you communicate aggressively, it could be difficult for you to build trusting relationships at work. It could be possible for you to overcome some of your aggressive tendencies by learning more constructive communication methods. Stress management might also be helpful. You may healthily combat stress by exercising and utilizing mindfulness or meditation techniques. 3. Passive-aggressive. On the surface, passive-aggressive communicators seem docile, yet their actions often reflect more aggressive objectives. Even if they may seem nice in their words, they often contradict themselves in their deeds. They can covertly influence events to their advantage. Although it's not always the case, some passive-aggressive communicators adopt this strategy because they feel helpless or manipulated. Communicators who act passive-aggressively may employ the following techniques: muttering, using sarcasm, exhibiting denial, faking happiness when they are upset, giving the silent treatment. Even after verbal assurances, a passive-aggressive communicator may undercut your efforts if you interact with them. When dealing with a passive-aggressive communicator, take into account the following strategies. State your demands plainly. Avoid leaving space for misunderstandings or ambiguity. Face off with bad behavior. Directly confront them about their actions. If your chat does not result in a change, think about involving management. Request their opinions. Ask them directly for their opinions while you are alone with them to try and elicit an open dialogue. If you tend to be passive-aggressive, search for opportunities to expand your wants and views openly. To guarantee that you are heard and that action is being taken to deal with a matter directly, find a means to pursue open and honest lines of contact. 4. Assertive. The most courteous and effective communication at work is often the assertive style. Although they always show respect and courtesy, assertive communicators fearlessly offer their thoughts and ideas. They gladly accept challenges, but can also say no when necessary. These people are aware of their boundaries and respect them without being unduly combative or defensive. You'll notice an assertive communicator's ability to make others feel comfortable while they're around you. They are the people you seek out because you are confident in their ability to create fruitful conversations. A person's assertive behavior can be seen in the following: a tendency towards collaboration and sharing, wide-ranging gestures, effective communication of thoughts and emotions, a clear voice, good posture, making eye contact. If you have assertive communicators on your team, get them involved in decision-making. Give them leadership roles and ask them for assistance in dealing with aggressive, passive-aggressive, and passive-passive-aggressive communication styles. How to communicate more assertively. One good thing is that effective communication is a talent that can be developed. It's time to acquire a new communication style to generate better encounters when you notice yourself slipping into aggressive, passive, or passive-aggressive habits. You can develop an awareness of your communication patterns and make necessary adjustments over time. A respectful and open environment is promoted by assertive communications, which benefits both the speaker and the listener. Being clear, forthright, and frank is necessary, but not pushy. Being assertive makes it easier to communicate your point without belittling or ignoring your conversation partner. To speak more assertively, use these conversational strategies. Confidently express your wants and requirements. Assume responsibility by making I statements such as, "I get frustrated when you don't answer my question because it makes me feel unimportant." Retain relaxed eye contact. Pay attention when the others are speaking. Practice saying no. Knowing the various forms of communication can also help you spot them when they are used. By understanding the patterns, you can interpret people's intentions and choose the most appropriate course of action. For instance, if someone uses passive-aggressive language, you can approach them privately and ask, "Is everything all right?" This enables the individual to open up and feel more comfortable expressing their thoughts instead of striking out in anger or frustration. Chapter 6. Registering Vocal Cues. One of the best ways to communicate with others and express our views, likes, and dislikes is through voice and vocal abilities. We can also learn about other people's perspectives and ways of thinking through the use of voice. It enables us to establish relationships with our coworkers, family, friends, and other members of society. However, do we possess the capacity to comprehend all the important concepts and ideas that people's minds juggle when speaking? Does what they say or what they think come over in their voice? Are you able to interpret it correctly? Many of us, however, fail to do this. We fall short of comprehending a person's genuine intent when they speak and their thoughts. Voice is an extremely potent and efficient communication, and it becomes even more significant if you can analyze it and use it well. This chapter provides you the knowledge and power to peek inside other people's heads and discover the true, unsaid thoughts of what they are having. You can infer the idea of the persons you are speaking with based on the sound of their voice. You need more than just voice, tone, and sound to comprehend what they are saying. What does your voice tone convey? One of the most significant aspects of communication is voice tone. Your voice's tone has both conscious and unconscious meanings that influence the messages you convey. Timbre, volume, speed, clarity, projection, etc. are a few of these elements. Multiple people can say the same sentence, and each speaker's distinctive vocal timbre will communicate a different psychological meaning. It demonstrates how all of our words have both verbal and nonverbal meanings. The nonverbal component is more difficult to control, making it more sincere. The tone of someone's voice can also reveal a lot about their feelings. You may infer something about someone's feelings and thoughts just by listening to how they speak, even if they speak a language you don't know. We'll now give you tips on deciphering what someone's tone of voice is trying to tell you. The voice's tone and perception. The Laboratory of Instrumental Analysis of Communication at the Autonomous University of Barcelona conducted a study on voice tone and perception. They made some intriguing discoveries, some of which are included below. A deep voice conveys maturity and inspires confidence in others. The tone is very frequently used in adverts. When a person speaks with a deep voice, it genuinely exudes a menacing atmosphere. A forceful, certain tone of voice conveys importance and distinction to the listener. When someone speaks quietly, you can assume they're awkward or have serious flaws. Extremely high vocal tones don't give off a lot of credibilities. Voice is used to verify identity and grant access to technology because it is such a personal detail. It can serve as evidence in court as well. It is equally as reliable as a fingerprint, if not more so. Additional fascinating facts. Psychologists have tried to decipher the hidden messages hidden behind various speech tones. Now we have a vast library of interpretations for these minute details, the kind that most of us overlook. Let's examine a few of them. Breathing. The pace a person lives at can be inferred from how they breathe while speaking. For example, if an individual remains calm while speaking, this implies they are very well balanced. A deep, strong, and constant breath indicate bottled-up anger. Deep and constant breathing indicates activity and energy. Superficial breathing shows the speaker lacks practicality, while it is a sign of stress and anxiety when a speaker experiences quick and short breaths. Volume. This describes how a person engages with both oneself and other people. For example, a normal volume shows the ability to listen and have self-control. High volume indicates impatience, selfishness, and weakness, while a low volume means a lack of practice and inhibition. Vocalization or articulation. Vocalization relates to the person's capacity for understanding and desire to be understood. For instance, when a speaker is imprecise while speaking, it might indicate lying or mental fuzziness. A well-defined vocalization means mental clarity and communicative openness. A speaker who stumbles while speaking might be a sign of hostility and inhibition, while a very clear vocal might mean narcissism or tension. Speed. You can learn more about the person's emotional condition by looking at this. A slow talk might indicate lack of enthusiasm, isolation from the outside world, while a quick one might sometimes show anxiety or the speaker is trying to keep information secret. A speaker talking at a usual speed might indicate that such speaker is withholding, stifling, unnatural, while being unusual can indicate perplexity, worry, poor communication. Voice and relations. Voice inflections act as stamps. Even if the person they're speaking to isn't an authority on the matter, they automatically pick up messages from the tone of voice of the other person, and the images they have of that person will be shaped by these messages. How a person speaks also reveals the kind of relationship they hope to have with others. To create some distance, they will be frigid and harsh, and if they're sweet and friendly, they're attempting to get closer. The tone of voice determines the bond's tone. It's also critical to note that voice tones vary from person to person. However, some things continue to exist without change. You can deduce someone's personality or mood by their constant routines. Making voice recordings of oneself in various situations and then listening for the underlying tones in your voice is a helpful exercise in self-awareness. A powerful tool for connection building and communication is the tone of voice, and for that reason alone, it's a tool that's well worth mastering. Chapter 7. How to connect effortlessly with people. Have you ever moved to a new place or changed jobs to find yourself unsure of how to connect with new people? Building relationships can be challenging, but being able to connect is a crucial aspect of what it means to be human. Our lives are much more fulfilling when we can accomplish them. Social skills enable us to expand our networks and forge deep connections, whether by finding common ground with strangers or meeting new friends online. However, connecting is more than just networking. It's a transferable ability that can advance your career and personal life. Sadly, not everyone is eager to start forming new connections. At first, it could feel unpleasant and uneasy, especially if you have social anxiety. If this sounds like you, you're not alone. It will be worthwhile to put in the effort to learn how to build better relationships with people. Here are practical ways you may start connecting with people now and why it's crucial to do so. But first, why do we connect with people? Ways that connecting with others help us stay strong and positive. Aging has made me more aware of my propensity to strive to keep things organized and predictable. I often want a life with minimal changes and lots of time to manage my environment. This is an unrealistic goal, but it is also not in my best interests. A lifetime of interacting with others while living, working, and having fun taught me at least two things. First, other people can drive you crazy with their emotional ups and downs and unpredictable lives. And second, while my life would feel more in control without them, it would be significantly less rich. Therefore, the true beauty of life comes from connection, despite the numerous occasions when we may feel our friends and family are interfering. Connecting expands our perspective of the world. Even if I wish to isolate myself and live my life in peace, connecting with others allows me to view and feel the world more fully. I want to do it, so why wouldn't I? Although dealing with other people's schedules and routines can sometimes be annoying, it's through involvement in our surroundings rather than withdrawal that we learn about it. Asking someone we don't know at a bus stop how their day is going can spark a conversation. The likelihood of learning something new from those first words is pretty high. Not bad considering the cost of the bus fare. Connecting helps us develop empathy. We must listen to another person's verbal and nonverbal communication to connect with them deeply. We must experience what they are experiencing visually and emotionally. This is a real connection. It brings with it a true comprehension of that individual's identity and what it's like to be that person. As a result, we communicate much deeper and feel as though we've developed a genuine connection with the other person. Resolve to be gentle with the young, compassionate with the elderly, empathetic with the striving, and forbearing of the weak and the wrong. Each of these will have been you at some point in your life. Each of these actions necessitates and produces a connection. Our activity expands as we connect. We become creative when we are open to making connections that, if we were just going through the motions and interacting with people superficially, we might not have seen right away. We almost always discover a fresh way of thinking or a new solution to address a problem if we let other people in. We discover original methods of operation and more profound connections between individuals, ideas, and relationships when we lower our self-imposed boundaries and allow ourselves to connect. That saying, "Two heads are better than one," comes to me when I think about this. Even though I was at first hesitant to ask for assistance, I've rarely had more success coming up with an idea or finding a solution while working with another individual. We learn about ourselves through connection. The only mirror we'll ever require may be forming a genuine relationship with another individual. I may feel I have more control over my surroundings if I remain socially isolated, but I also have no means of truly understanding how I'm regarded and understood in the world. It's easy for me to conjure up some bizarre notions about how other people perceive me if I'm hesitant to engage or connect. When I'm brave enough to establish honest connections, I can see myself and how other people view me more clearly. Although I don't have to change to appease them, it can be beneficial to help me see aspects of myself that I might not otherwise be aware of. Connecting reminds us that together we are better. When one tugs at a single object in nature, he finds it's tied to the rest of the world. This also applies to people. We have the history, knowledge, and resources of at least two people, if not many more, when we tackle the world's problems together. It may make sense to avoid these connections on an immediate practical level because we are exhausted or overburdened. Still, in the long run, the human connection keeps us strong and going forward. Why do some individuals find it hard to connect with others? Learning to connect with people has countless advantages. However, developing our social networks might be difficult. Getting the audacity to put yourself out there can be challenging if you've previously had trouble interacting with people. People who are shy, introverted, or experience social anxiety may find it difficult to interact with others. People may have trouble connecting if they have low self-esteem or mental health problems. If this describes you, getting more help could be necessary to start feeling your best. People's inability to ask insightful questions is another factor in their inability to establish meaningful connections with others. A conversation might start on the right foot if you ask the correct questions. People won't connect without questions that spark engaging dialogues. One good thing is that you can surely develop and perfect this talent. How to connect with anyone you meet effectively. All of it begins with a connection. Connection is the basis for all human relationships, including friendship, love, and mutual support. Being connected makes us better parents and better partners. It substantially enhances our lives and allows us to have a greater impact on the lives of others. Connecting with others helps us advance in our careers by enabling us to close deals, support our colleagues, and communicate more effectively. The key to living an incredible life is establishing strong relationships with others and assembling a tribe of motivating, energizing, and enthusiastic individuals. Finding those who share our interests and values is not difficult. We get each other when we share similar interests and personality traits. But it might be difficult sometimes to connect with people who are extremely different from us. But it's crucial to be able to relate to those who are stronger than we are. Here are strategies for connecting with people you meet. Be true to yourself. Being yourself is the best course of action. Your relationship may be based on lies and lead to misunderstandings in the future if you pretend to be someone you're not. People make blunders when they are so determined to fit in that they lose sight that connecting with people authentically requires being yourself, The greatest approach to ensure that your connections are genuine is to be yourself, even if doing so makes you more exposed. Honor others' boundaries. It's likely that as you get to know a new person, you'll rapidly learn about their limitations. For instance, if you're attempting to get along with a coworker, you might discover that they don't like to discuss their romantic relationships. You must respect that person's boundaries to have a lasting relationship with them. Don't force someone to reveal information they don't want to reveal to establish a connection. Doing so will always destroy that connection. In the end, attempt to let your conversations veer away from the basics. Take the chat to a more personal level if your new friend feels at ease. Ask them about their passions, future goals, and the things that terrify them. They're more inclined to open up if you demonstrate your openness. Remain present-oriented. Your attention should be on the other person when speaking to them. You shouldn't be checking your phone or pondering your meal options. Learning to be present is one of the finest methods to develop interpersonal connections. And don't limit your presence to your mind. Show your acquaintance or coworker that they have your entire attention by using your body language. They won't feel you care about connecting with them if you're not facing the person speaking. Advance past the surface level. Real connections go beyond the fundamentals of a casual chat. Yes, it's possible to only discuss the most basic details when you first meet someone. Try to delve deeper, though, the next time you see the person or after you've spoken for a bit. What do they stand for? What sort of future objectives do they have? What are their greatest aspirations? These inquiries help us learn more about people's personalities and interpersonal relationships. Make the discussion public. Building greater relationships with others requires being aware of our own communication style. Your sharing should be evenly distributed when you first start conversing with someone. There is a give and take in every successful dialogue. For instance, if you ask a coworker about their 5-year-old, they can respond with a protracted response. In the end, they should finally ask you what your objectives are. If you sense that the other person is not inquiring about you, they might simply be distracted. Don't be hesitant to introduce yourself and share your personal experiences. However, they generally aren't a suitable relationship to have if they continuously change the topic to themselves. Be sincere in your admiration. Taking the initiative to express your gratitude to someone can make them happy. You could even believe showing someone your respect will help you build a stronger bond. However, fake compliments are likely to make the recipient doubt your sincerity. On social media, exercise caution as well. You might be tempted to approach someone with many compliments if you're attempting to make a new acquaintance. This can be misleading if you won't do the same thing in real life. In the long term, offering less real praise is much better. This will increase someone's trust in you because it demonstrates that you are being deliberate and aren't just saying whatever you can to make friends. That's ultimately the most effective method of social interaction. Be an attentive listener. When someone speaks, attention to what they say can reveal a lot about them. Consider how you normally converse with people. Do you break up their sentences? As they speak, are you evaluating them? You can get to know someone better by listening with an open mind. You won't need to ask them the same question repeatedly or require them to speak again. People enjoy being around good listeners because they feel heard and understood when they are around them. This advice is a wonderful place to start if you want to learn how to connect with others. Plan your time. Everybody occasionally becomes busy. This may give the impression that there is no time for interpersonal interaction. Use your calendar as support if you feel unequipped to manage your time effectively. Examine your schedule to determine when you can be the most sociable. Decide what times of day, weekdays, evenings, mornings, or weekends work best for you. You can schedule when you want to connect with people to have the right energy for it rather than feeling pressured. Continue making eye contact. Making eye contact is one of the easiest ways to show someone you're concerned about what they have to say. By paying attention this way, you might show the other person that you want to know them more. Additionally, it shows that you are content to be with them and are not considering being elsewhere. Eye contact keeps the conversation moving, encourages individuals to open up, and increases people's sense of trust in you. Be careful not to fixate on someone too intently when you're face to face. To establish a bond, regular eye contact is sufficient. Grin at them. It's possible that the person you're speaking to is anxious or suffers from social anxiety. When you meet them, or as the conversation develops, grin to let them know you're enjoying yourself. For both of you, it can lessen tension and awkwardness. A grin encourages more happiness and encourages people to be more open. Conclusion. Understanding how to read people is among the most crucial skills you can have. You become more perceptive to the difficulties and requirements of those around you. You can develop this skill to further raise your EQ. The good news is that anyone can read people, including you. You only need to know what to look for, that's all. When people are unable to verbally convey their feelings or purposefully try to hide them, nonverbal communication is a crucial tool. Understanding these communication cues can improve our ability to understand others. If you're aware of body language, you cannot read minds. However, you can decide more wisely based on what the person you're speaking to or seeing is going through or what they might do next.
We appreciate you tuning in to one of our captivating audiobooks. For more immersive experiences, here is another audiobook we're certain you'll enjoy. Don't forget to show your support by liking this video, sharing what you loved about this audiobook in the comments section below, and subscribing for more captivating audiobooks like this. Thanks for being a part of our audiobook community.